Hello and welcome to this Philbert Flies review of ORBX's Bastia-Poretta scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. You join me on approach to runway 34. As usual, I'm starting with an approach to give you a look at the surrounding area, northeastern Corsica by the way, if, like me, you hadn't heard of Bastia-Poretta until this scenery was released, and the opportunity to gauge the performance of the add-on on my system. My system specs and graphics settings can be found in the description down below. I'll complete the approach and landing, and I'll speak to you again at a gate, from where we'll begin a tour of the airport in different weather and lighting conditions. I'll finish up by giving you my overall opinion on it. Welcome to Bastia-Poretta. We're parked up on stand Alpha 6 and there are no jetways at this airport as you can see, but we do have a full complement of ground services available. Let's take a look at the terminal building. So you'll see straight off that there's a good amount of detail included. The roof is full of air conditioning ducts, solar panels and other things. If we have a look at the front face of the terminal building, you'll notice that there is no transparent glass or interior modelling at this airport, but the opaque window textures do reflect the light and they look pretty good. The textures aren't the highest resolution I've ever seen. They looked absolutely fine from the aircraft cockpit, but when you get close you will notice that they get a little bit blurry. There are also some slightly strange looking window frame structures which look jagged as they go around the corner here. The corrugated metal on these curved roofs looks very nice. It's got a good amount of weathering and discoloration in places. Although you will notice if you get very close that the roof isn't perfectly round and we do have some corners where it should be smooth. This is a very minor nitpick though, you can't see that from the aircraft at all. The control tower has been beautifully modelled. I really like the texturing as well. The metal railings look the part and we've got some really nice weathering on these metal panels down here. ORBX have done a really nice job with the peripheral buildings. I really like this pockmarked concrete and the weathering on the shutters. ORBX have done a really good job with the general aviation apron. The buildings around it look absolutely fantastic. They are very nicely modelled with nice weathered textures, and there's a good amount of detail included which really brings life to the place. We've got pallets, a skip, some cones, and we've also got some people standing around and static aircraft. So the whole thing looks really great. My one criticism is the resolution of the signage. This does look a little bit blurry if you get close, but it's a small point and in general this is really very impressive. This helicopter apron is similarly detailed. We have a lot of people standing around and 3 static helicopters. It looks really very nice. As well as the helicopters, we have 10 aircraft parked across the GA apron, and we have 2 airliners in front of the terminal building. While I would like the option to turn these off, I have to say the models used are very nice, and the aircraft do bring a lot of life to the place. The amount and quality of the ground clutter included is very impressive as well. The 3D buses and other vehicles look absolutely fantastic, and it's really nice to see so many ramp workers around the place. This really does feel like a busy, bustling airport. The ground textures at Bastia-Poretta look very nice indeed. They're crisp enough that you won't notice any blurriness when you're taxiing the aircraft, and I really like the details that have been included, such as the cracks in the concrete apron. I also like the variation in colour across the airport and the little patches of dirt and detritus that you'll see here and there. The colours of the materials used match the real airport pretty closely, but there are 1 or 2 places where the materials used don't. So these concrete panels are used across all of the taxiways according to the Google satellite imagery, but there are 1 or 2 taxiways that just have plain flat concrete. Now this isn't the sort of thing that's going to bother anyone except someone who looks at the Google satellite imagery before flying. The ground markings look very nice indeed. The taxiway centre lines are not too bright and they're nice and smooth. I'm also very impressed by the 3D modelled taxiway signs. The grassy areas look really nice with a good variety of textures and tones, although there are 1 or 2 areas where the boundary between the grass and the taxiways is a little bit blurry. The runway looks quite nice, but unfortunately, unless it's been completely rebuilt since the Google and Bing satellite images were taken, it doesn't look very much like the real thing. The materials used are wrong, the markings are wrong, and there isn't nearly enough rubber around the centreline. The landside parts of this airport look absolutely fantastic. ORBX have included a huge amount of detail here, from advertising billboards to railings to bollards to, of course, the many 3D vehicles parked in the car park. Outside the terminal entrance we also have some static people, which is really nice to see. And the texturing out the front is of a similar standard to that out the back. Here's Bastia-Poretta by night, and I think the apron looks really pretty good. I do have one criticism, and that is that these floodlights are not actually lit. Although the pools of light that they create are pretty convincing, and the lights themselves are probably not something that you would remark upon during normal usage. Although the terminal of course relies on opaque window textures rather than having a modelled and lit interior, these textures look pretty convincing to me. The landside parts of the airport are relatively nicely lit. We do have some lights up here which aren't doing anything. They're not lit themselves and they're not even casting a pool of light like the ones on the apron did. In fact, most of the lighting out here seems to be created by Asobo's magic floating orbs, which I really would like to see got rid of, but I don't think there's anything ORBX could have done about that. So not a bad job, but it's not going to blow you away. The taxiway and runway lighting looks very nice and appears to be pretty accurate as well. Here's Bastia in the rain, and the ground textures continue to impress when they're wet. So, what do I think of ORBX's Bastia-Poretta? I think it's got 1 or 2 pretty minor faults. The inaccurate runway and the odd jagged building texture here and there are the main ones for me, but in spite of these I really like it. It's a very detailed add-on and it feels more atmospheric to me than many airports that are technically more perfect. It probably has something to do with the detailed ground clutter, the workers on the ramp and the realistic faded look of the buildings. But there's something else about it too that I can't quite put my finger on. The Landside detail and the lovely general aviation apron make this feel like a very complete package, and given how beautiful Corsica looks in the sim and how stunning the approaches into Bastia are, I think this is an add-on that will appeal to a wide array of flight simmers. I'll certainly be back here before long. I hope you found this review useful. If you have, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel on your way out. If you'd like to help me do more of these reviews, you can also donate via Streamlabs or buymeacoffee.com. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon here on Filbert Flies. Take care, bye bye.